Good morning, students. We are discussing differentiation, de-differentiation, redifferentiation, right? We completed right differentiation. Now we are going for de-differentiation, right? De-differentiation. Go for de-differentiation. De-differentiation. Sir, what is the meaning of de-differentiation, sir? Right? Now, listen here. So, take a primary permanent tissue. Primary what? Primary permanent tissue. Take primary permanent tissue. Sir, primary permanent tissue is formed by which process? Differentiation process, right? So this primary permanent tissue, it cannot divide, yes or no? Can or cannot divide? Cannot divide. Sir, this primary permanent tissue, what it does means it regains the dividing ability. Primary permanent tissue regains which ability? Dividing ability. Regains which ability, sir? Regains dividing ability. Sir, if it regains dividing ability, it means now it can divide. Yes or no? Can divide means we should call it as meristematic tissue. Yes or no? Therefore, when it regains dividing ability, it changes into what, sir? Meristem. Changes into what? Meristem. Changes into what, sir? Meristem. This process is called as de-differentiation process. Therefore, during de-differentiation, what happens? Primary permanent tissue regains dividing ability. When it regains dividing ability, it changes into what, sir? Meristem. Changes into what? Meristem. What is this process called as? De-differentiation process. Sir, this meristem formed by de-differentiation process is called as a secondary meristem. Meristem formed by de-differentiation process is called as what, sir? Secondary meristem. Therefore, what is the product of de-differentiation? What is the product of de-differentiation, sir? Product of de-differentiation. Product of de-differentiation. What, sir? Secondary meristem. What is the product of de-differentiation, sir? Secondary meristem. Is it okay? Now listen this statement. Sir, here who is undergoing de-differentiation? Primary permanent tissue. It is undergoing de-differentiation. Sir, primary permanent tissue is formed by which process? Differentiation process. So, can we call this primary permanent tissue as a differentiated tissue? Yes. All differentiated tissues cannot undergo de-differentiation process. Do all differentiated tissues undergoes a de-differentiation? No. Therefore, write, sir, all, write what? All differentiated, all differentiated tissues. All differentiated tissues, for example, we are calling them as what? Primary permanent tissues. Primary permanent tissues. All differentiated tissues does not undergoes de-differentiation. Is this statement okay? Do all differentiated tissues, do all primary permanent tissues undergoes de-differentiation, sir? No. Is this statement okay? For example, take a sclerenchyma. What, sir? Sclerenchyma. Take a tracheary elements. Which elements, sir? Tracheary elements. Sir, take sclerenchyma and tracheary elements. Sir, this sclerenchyma and tracheary elements, they are formed by differentiation process. So they are which tissues, sir? They are differentiated tissues. They are differentiated tissues. They are primary permanent tissues. Yes or no? Yesterday we discussed this statement. These are primary permanent tissues. Now you tell me, sir, sclerenchyma and tracheary elements, do they undergo dedifferentiation? No. Why, sir? Because they are dead. Sir, sclerenchyma is a dead tissue. Tracheary elements, they are dead. How a dead tissues, right, undergoes dedifferentiation process? Yes or no? Therefore, sclerenchyma and tracheary elements, they are differentiated tissues. They are primary permanent tissues, but does not undergo what, sir? Dedifferentiation. They do not undergo dedifferentiation, right? Therefore, sclerenchyma and tracheary elements, right, does not what? Does not undergoes what? Dedifferentiation. Does not undergoes dedifferentiation. Why? As they are which tissues, sir? As they are dead tissues. As they are dead tissues, they cannot undergo what, sir? Dedifferentiation process. What and what? Sclerenchyma and tracheary elements. With this statement, it becomes clear that all differentiated tissues, they won't undergo dedifferentiation process. Is this statement okay? Right? Now listen this statement. Sir, wound healing. Healing of wound. What, sir? Wound healing. Wound healing in what? Matured stem or matured parts. Matured stem or matured parts of right secondary stem. It means, sir, this stem has undergone secondary growth. If it undergoes secondary growth, right, the part becomes woody. Yes or no? In that woody parts of a plant, what is taking place, sir? Wound healing. It is by which process? Dedifferentiation process. Therefore, wound healing in matured parts of secondary stem is by which process, sir? Dedifferentiation process. Is by dedifferentiation process. Dedifferentiation process. Therefore, wound healing in matured parts of secondary stem is by dedifferentiation process. Is this statement okay? Right? Now listen here. Sir, take parenchyma. What, sir? Parenchyma. Take parenchyma. Sir, parenchyma divides and produces new cells on nutrient medium during tissue culture. Parenchyma, right, dividing and producing, dividing and what, sir? Producing what? New cells. Where? On nutrient medium. On a nutrient medium. When? During tissue culture. When, sir? During what? Tissue culture. During tissue culture. Listen this statement. Sir, parenchyma is a permanent tissue. Yes or no? It is a primary permanent tissue. Parenchyma is a primary permanent tissue. Sir, can a primary permanent tissue divides? No. But we are writing statement that it is dividing and producing new cells on nutrient medium during tissue culture. What does it mean? It means this parenchyma, that is primary permanent tissue, it has regained the dividing ability. It means it has undergone which process? Dedifferentiation process. Therefore, parenchyma dividing and producing new cells on nutrient medium during tissue culture. What it indicates? Indicates that parenchyma has undergone dedifferentiation. Indicates that parenchyma has undergone what, sir? Dedifferentiation. Parenchyma has undergone what, sir? De-differentiation. Who has undergone de-differentiation? Parenchyma has undergone de-differentiation. So it got the ability, it regained the dividing ability. So it divided on nutrient medium during tissue culture. Is this statement okay? Right? Right, now go for examples of what's our de-differentiation. Go for examples of de-differentiation. What are the examples? Interfascicular cambium. Intra or inter? Inter. Interfascicular cambium. Interfascicular cambium and cork cambium. Interfascicular cambium and cork cambium. What is another name of cork cambium, sir? Phellogen. What is another name of cork cambium, sir? Phellogen. Therefore, interfascicular cambium and cork cambium of what, sir? Dicot stem. Of what, sir? Dicot stem. Therefore, interfascicular cambium of dicot stem, cork cambium of dicot stem. These two are examples for de-differentiation process. Is it okay? Next examples I am writing. Vascular cambium. What, sir? Vascular cambium. Vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium and cork cambium of dicot root. In which root, sir? Dicot root. Therefore, in dicot root, vascular cambium is an example for de-differentiation. In dicot root, cork cambium is also an example for de-differentiation process. Sir, how we are saying that interfascicular cambium, cork cambium and vascular cambium, these are examples of de-differentiation process, sir. These are examples of de-differentiation process. Is this statement okay? Right? Go for the first one. What's, sir? Interfascicular cambium. Interfascicular cambium. Now listen here. Sir, I am taking dicot stem first, right? In what, sir? In dicot stem. In what, sir? In dicot stem, right? Now listen here. Sir, if you take a dicot stem, what, sir? If you take a dicot stem, in dicot stem, 15 to 20, how many, sir? 15 to 20 wedge-shaped or top-shaped vascular bundles are present. In first year, we read this statement. In dicot stem, how many vascular bundles? 15 to 20 vascular bundles. This is a vascular bundle, right? 15 to 20 vascular bundles are present. What is the shape of each vascular bundle, sir? Wedge-shaped or top-shaped. Is it okay? Right. Now listen here. Sir, this is vascular bundle, right? Sir, in each vascular bundle, towards inside, what is present? Primary xylem is present. Towards inside, primary xylem is present. Towards outside, what is present, sir? Primary phloem is present. Is it okay? Sir, this is a vascular bundle. I am enlarging the diagram. Okay, vascular bundle I am enlarging. Sir, in vascular bundle, towards inside primary xylem is present. Towards outside what is present, sir? Primary phloem is present. Yes or no? Sir, in between this primary xylem and primary phloem, in between what? Primary xylem and primary phloem. In between primary xylem and primary phloem, what is present? Intrafascicular cambium is present. What is present, sir? Intrafascicular cambium is present. Intrafascicular cambium is present. Now listen the statements carefully. Sir, we are discussing dicot stem, right? Sir, this is a vascular bundle, this is a vascular bundle. Sir, in between vesicular bundles, I am speaking about between vascular bundles. In between vesicular bundles, medullary rays are present. In what? Dicot stem. Where? In between vesicular bundles. What are present, sir? Primary medullary rays are present. Primary medullary rays are present. Is it okay? Right? Therefore, these are which rays, sir? These are primary medullary rays. Where they are present, sir? They are present in between vesicular bundles. Is this statement okay? Now listen to the statement. Sir, this primary medullary rays. What? Primary medullary rays. Sir, this primary medullary rays, they are made up of parenchyma. This primary medullary rays, they are made up of what, sir? Parenchyma. Sir, parenchyma is which tissue? It is a primary, it is a primary permanent tissue. It is a primary, what, sir? It is a primary permanent tissue. It is a primary permanent tissue. Is this statement okay? Now listen the statement. Sir, we are discussing medullary rays, right? Sir, where these medullary rays are present? They are present in between vesicular bundles. They are present in between what, sir? Vascular bundles. These are primary medullary rays, right? During stellar secondary growth. When, sir? During stellar secondary growth. During stellar secondary growth, this parenchyma of primary medullary rays. What? Parenchyma of primary medullary rays under de-differentiation process. When? During stellar secondary growth. When, sir? During stellar secondary growth. During stellar secondary growth, parenchyma of primary medullary rays undergoes which process? De-differentiation process. Undergoes de-differentiation process. Sir, if de-differentiation takes place, what is produced, sir? Secondary meristem is produced. What is produced, sir? Secondary meristem is produced. The name of the secondary meristem is intervascular cambium. Intervascular cambium. What it is, sir? Intervascular cambium. Therefore, we got the first one. What it is? Intervascular cambium. Therefore, intervascular cambium, it is a secondary meristem. Intervascular cambium is formed by de-differentiation process. It is formed during stellar secondary growth. It is formed from parenchyma of primary medullary rays. Is it okay? Therefore, sir, primary medullary rays made up of parenchyma. This parenchyma of primary medullary rays undergone de-differentiation when during stellar secondary growth. If de-differentiation takes place, a secondary meristem is produced. What is the name of the secondary meristem, sir? Intervascular cambium. What is, sir? Intervascular cambium. Is it okay? Right? Now go for the second one. What it is, sir? Cork cambium. What it is? Cork cambium. Sir, we are discussing the statements concerned to what, sir? Dicot stem. Is it okay? Right? Now listen here. Sir, in dicot stem, if you take what, sir? Cortex. What, sir? Cortex. Sir, this cortex, it is made up of parenchyma. Made up of what, sir? Parenchyma. Made up of parenchyma. I already told you, parenchyma is a primary permanent tissue. Parenchyma is a primary permanent tissue. It is a primary permanent tissue. Is it okay? Right. Sir, this parenchyma present in cortex, it is undergoing de-differentiation process. Who is undergoing de-differentiation? Parenchyma of cortex undergoes de-differentiation process. When, sir? During extrastellar secondary growth. When, sir? During what? During extrastellar secondary growth. During extrastellar secondary growth, right? parenchyma of cortex undergoes dedifferentiation process. Now you tell me, if dedifferentiation takes place, you are going to get which meristem, sir? Secondary meristem. If dedifferentiation takes place, what is obtained? Secondary meristem. The name of the secondary meristem is cork cambium. What is another name for cork cambium? Phellogen. What is another name for cork cambium, sir? Phellogen. Is this statement okay? Where, sir? In dicot stem. In dicot stem, the parenchyma of cortex undergoes dedifferentiation when during extrastellar secondary growth. Due to this dedifferentiation, a secondary meristem is formed by name what, sir? Cork cambium. What, sir? Cork cambium. Therefore, interfascicular cambium and cork cambium in dicot stem are formed by which process, sir? Dedifferentiation process. Interfascicular cambium, cork cambium in dicot stem are formed by which process? Dedifferentiation process. Therefore, first two examples okay. Shall we go for the next two? Right. Now go for the dicot root, right? In dicot root. Sir, in case of what, sir? Dicot root. Now listen here. Sir, in dicot root, pericycle. In dicot root, what, sir? Pericycle. Sir, in dicot root, pericycle is made up of parenchyma. Pericycle is made up of what, sir? Parenchyma. Parenchyma is which tissue? It is a primary permanent tissue. Yes or no? It's a primary permanent tissue. Sir, in case of dicot root, in between primary xylem and primary phloem, in between primary xylem and primary phloem, what is present, sir? Conjunctive tissue is present. All these statements we read in first year. In between primary xylem and primary phloem, I am speaking about dicot root. In dicot root, in between primary xylem and primary phloem, conjunctive tissue is present. This conjunctive tissue is also made up of what? Parenchyma, which is a primary permanent tissue. Is it okay? Right. Sir, during stellar secondary growth. When, sir? During stellar secondary growth. During stellar secondary growth. During stellar secondary growth. During stellar secondary growth, the parenchyma of pericycle. What, sir? Parenchyma of pericycle undergoes which process? Dedifferentiation process. Okay, right. Sir, if dedifferentiation takes place, what is formed, sir? Secondary meristem is formed. What is formed, sir? Secondary meristem is formed. That secondary meristem is nothing but what, sir? Vascular cambium. What is that secondary meristem? Vascular cambium. Is it okay? Right. Sir, take conjunctive tissue. Conjunctive tissue is made up of what? Parenchyma. During what, sir? Stellar secondary growth. When? During stellar secondary growth, the parenchyma of conjunctive tissue also undergoes dedifferentiation process. Which tissue? Parenchyma of conjunctive tissue undergoes dedifferentiation when? During stellar secondary growth and produces what, sir? A secondary meristem by name vascular cambium. Secondary meristem by name what, sir? Vascular cambium. Vascular cambium is which meristem, sir? Secondary meristem. Secondary meristem. Sir, this strip of vascular cambium, both joins with one another and forms a complete what, sir? Vascular cambium. Forms a vascular cambium. Is it okay? Therefore, vascular cambium is which meristem in dicot root, sir? It is a secondary meristem. Simple concept. See here. During Stellar secondary growth. When sir? During stellar secondary growth, what happened? Parenchyma of pericycle, parenchyma of conjunctive tissue, they undergone dedifferentiation process and produced vascular cambium. Therefore, vascular cambium of dicot root is also an example for dedifferentiation process. Is it okay? Right? Now, sir, we are discussing dicot root, right? Dicot root. So, take a pericycle. What, sir? Pericycle. I already told you. Sir, pericycle is parenchymatous. Yes or no? Made up of parenchyma. Parenchyma is which tissue? Primary permanent tissue. Primary permanent tissue. Sir, this pericycle made up of parenchyma, right? This parenchyma of pericycle is undergoing dedifferentiation process. Undergoing which process, sir? Dedifferentiation process. When, sir? During extrastellar secondary growth. When, sir? During extrastellar secondary growth. Therefore, parenchyma of pericycle undergoes dedifferentiation process during extrastellar secondary growth. Sir, if dedifferentiation takes place, which meristem we are going to get, sir? Secondary meristem. Secondary meristem. The name of that secondary meristem is what, sir? Cork cambium. What is the name of that secondary meristem? Cork cambium. What is another name for cork cambium, sir? Phellogen. See here. Parenchyma of pericycle undergoes dedifferentiation during extrastellar secondary growth and produces a secondary meristem called as cork cambium. Is it okay? Right? Therefore, in case of what? Dicot root. In case of dicot root, pericycle produces vascular cambium and cork cambium. Yes or no? In what? Dicot root. Pericycle produces vascular cambium and cork cambium. In dicot root, vascular cambium and cork cambium are completely secondary meristems. Vascular cambium and cork cambium of dicot root are purely secondary meristems. Completely, purely secondary meristems. Actually, we all read these statements during our first year. Yes or no? Right? Once again we repeated the same statements. Is it okay? Right? This is concerned to what, sir? Dedifferentiation. Right? Right? Now go for redifferentiation. What, sir, it is? Redifferentiation. Redifferentiation. Okay. Now listen here. Sir, secondary meristem. What, sir? Secondary meristem. Sir, secondary meristem means can divide, cannot divide, can divide. Meristem, no, can divide, divides. Sir, when this meristem divides, what it do, sir? What it does? Produces new cells. Produces new cells. Is this statement okay? Now listen this statement. Sir, when secondary meristem divides, it has produced new cells. This newly produced cells loses dividing ability. This newly produced cells, they are losing which ability? Dividing ability. Loses dividing ability. Sir, if they loses dividing ability, they becomes what? They becomes permanent tissues. Yes or no? They becomes what, sir? They becomes permanent cells or they becomes permanent tissues. Sir, this process is called as redifferentiation process. What is this process called as, sir? Redifferentiation process. Sir, due to redifferentiation, what are formed, sir? Permanent tissue is formed. Sir, this permanent tissue is called as secondary permanent tissue. Group of cells called as tissue. I wrote here cells, therefore we can call it as a tissue. Yes or no? Therefore, this is what tissue, sir? Secondary permanent tissue. Is this statement okay? Therefore, sir, when meristem divides, new cells are produced. These newly produced cells, they loses dividing ability. Loses dividing ability. okay, loses dividing ability and changes into secondary permanent tissue. Therefore, what is the product of redifferentiation? Secondary permanent tissue. Product of what? Redifferentiation. What's a secondary permanent tissue? Sir, what is the product of a differentiation process, sir? Product of differentiation is a primary permanent tissue. Product of redifferentiation is a secondary permanent tissue. Is this statement okay? Sir, during redifferentiation process, what changed to what, sir? Secondary meristem. Changed to what, sir? Secondary permanent tissue. Therefore, secondary meristem to secondary permanent tissue. Secondary meristem to secondary permanent tissue. Which process this is? This is a redifferentiation process. What it is? A redifferentiation process. Is it okay? Right? Now go for examples. Now listen the statements carefully. Sir, I am taking vascular cambium, sir. What it is, sir? Vascular cambium. Sir, vascular cambium, right? It is which meristem, sir? Secondary meristem. Yes or no? Vascular cambium is a secondary meristem, right? It is a which meristem? Secondary meristem. Sir, this vascular cambium, right? Meristem, no? So can divide. Sir, when this vascular cambium divides, what it does? Produces new cells. Sir, vascular cambium is meristem, so vascular cambium divides. When vascular cambium divides, what it does, sir? Produces new cells. Now see this flow chart and tell. These new cells are produced towards inside or outside. These new cells are produced towards right outside as well as towards inside. You can check it. In first year also we read this statement. Sir, vascular cambium, it is a secondary meristem, sir. Meristem, so can divide. When vascular cambium divides, it has produced new cells towards outside, new cells towards inside. Sir, these new cells produced towards outside, they are undergoing which process, sir? They undergoes a redifferentiation process. Be careful, I am not saying as a de-differentiation, I am saying it as a redifferentiation, and produces a secondary phloem. What it produces? Secondary phloem. Secondary phloem is also called as what, sir? Bast. B-A-S-T. Bast. Is it okay? Right? Sir, these are new cells produced towards what? Inside. These new cells produced towards inside, they also undergoes which process, sir? They too undergoes redifferentiation process and produces what, sir? Secondary xylem. What it produces? Secondary xylem. What is another name for secondary xylem, sir? Wood. Is this statement okay? Therefore, see these statements. Sir, vascular cambium, secondary meristem. Meristematic. Divided. Produced new cells towards outside and inside. New cells produced towards outside undergone redifferentiation and produced secondary phloem. New cells produced towards inside undergone redifferentiation and produced secondary xylem. Sir, secondary xylem and secondary phloem are produced from vascular cambium. Yes or no? Sir, the secondary xylem and secondary phloem are produced by redifferentiation process. Produced by which process? Redifferentiation process. Therefore, what and what, sir? Secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Secondary xylem and secondary phloem. These two are together called as secondary vascular tissues. Secondary vascular tissues, they are produced by which process? Redifferentiation process. Therefore, what are the examples for redifferentiation here? Secondary xylem, secondary phloem. Produced from where? Vascular cambium. Secondary xylem, secondary phloem. Right, they are which tissues? Secondary vascular tissues. Produced by which process? Redifferentiation process. Is these examples okay? Right? Okay. Now you take a cork cambium, right? What's a cork cambium? Take a cork cambium. Sir, cork cambium is which meristem, sir? Cork cambium is a secondary meristem. Yes or no? Cork cambium is a secondary meristem. Sir, when this cork cambium divides, when what divides, sir? Cork cambium divides. Cork cambium divides. What are produced? New cells are produced. What are produced, sir? When cork cambium divides, new cells are produced. Sir, these new cells are produced towards inside or outside? Once you check it. New cells are produced towards outside as well as towards inside. New cells are produced towards outside as well as towards what, sir? Inside. Sir, these new cells produced towards outside, they undergoes which process? Redifferentiation process. Undergoes which process, sir? Redifferentiation process, and produces what, sir? Cork. What it produces, sir? Cork. Similarly, this new cells produced towards inside. New cells produced towards inside. They also undergoes which process? Redifferentiation process. And what it produces, sir? Secondary cortex. Produces what, sir? Secondary cortex. See here, sir, cork cambium is a secondary meristem. Meristem so divides. When it divides, produces new cells towards outside and towards inside. New cells produced towards outside undergone redifferentiation and produced cork. New cells produced towards inside undergoes redifferentiation and produces secondary cortex. Therefore, cork and secondary cortex, these are products of what? Redifferentiation. They are produced by redifferentiation. Yes or no? Sir, what is another name for cork? Cork is also called as phellum. Phellum. Secondary cortex is also called as what, sir? Phylloderm. Secondary cortex is also called as what, sir? Phylloderm. The secondary cortex is secondary photosynthetic tissue. Yes or no? Secondary photosynthetic tissue. Secondary photosynthetic tissue. Is it okay? Therefore, what and what, sir? Cork and what more? Secondary cortex. Cork and secondary cortex, they are examples for which processor? Redifferentiation process. Till now, we got 4 examples for redifferentiation. Number 1, secondary xylem. Number 2, secondary phloem. Number 3, cork. Number 4, secondary cortex. In these 4, secondary xylem, secondary phloem are produced from vascular cambium, whereas cork and secondary cortex are produced from cork cambium. Is it okay? Right? Thank you.